Hello, my dear champions. Welcome to the next fabulous session of India's first animated live tuition, that is none other than 90 plus my tuition app. Okay, and first of all, I'm wishing you, hey my kiddos, good evening. Today we are going for the next question discussion or short question discussion from the chapter number 6, that is none other than our control and coordination. And here is our 90 plus sure question. Shall we submit that or shall we present that question? Are you waiting for that? Yes, I know you are eagerly waited for the session to be conducted. So I'm going to present that question with full of surprise. And here is the question in the given diagram. Name the parts labeled as A, B, C, D. Okay, and second one is write the function of A and D. And C is reflex arc have evolved in animals. Why? And this question is for 5 marks. And they already mentioned or they already given the diagram, and this diagram represent reflex arc and reflex action. And you know all the parts of our reflex arc. And before answering the question, I will give you a short trick to memorize all the parts of our reflex arc or reflex action. Okay, and reflex arc and reflex action both are different. And reflex arc is a pathway actually for the reflex action to be conducted. Okay, and here is a shortcut RACE. What do you mean by RACE? R represent receptor, A represent efferent or sensory neuron, and C is a center, that means central nervous system, CNS, that include brain and spinal cord. Here we need to especially mention spinal cord. And E means efferent or motor neuron, and final E represent the effector organ or tissue. And here we go, that question again. Name the parts labeled A, B, C, D. What do you mean by A? A is a sensory neuron or afferent neuron, and followed by B is a spinal cord, obviously the spinal cord, CNS, and C represent motor neuron or efferent neuron. Finally, here in this peak or in this reflex action, D represent the muscle in arm. The common name for the D is effector. Okay, and write the function of A and D. A means sensory neuron or afferent neuron, and D means muscle in arm. In this picture or in this reflex action, here effector is muscle in arm. Okay, and the next question is reflex arc have evolved in animals. But now we are moving on to the discussion part, and just be ready with your pen and paper, and you need to take the screenshot of as well. Okay, and A represents sensory neuron and B represents spinal cord. Yes, A represents sensory neuron and B represents spinal cord, and followed by C represent motor neuron and D represent effector. In this reflex arc or reflex action, muscle in arm is functioning as an effector organ. Okay, effector organ or effector tissue. And answer to the first, we just discussed about the answer. 1 minute. We just discussed about the answer to the first part or the A part of the question. Now we are moving on to the answering of B part of the question. And A is a sensory or afferent neuron, and major function of A is to transmit the impulses from sense organ or tissue to central nervous system, especially in this picture or image, especially transmission of impulses from sensory organ or tissue to spinal cord. Okay, otherwise you can also mention it as CNS. If you have mentioned it as CNS in bracket, you should put especially in spinal cord. And what is the function of D? And here the D is the effector. We know D is always the effector, and in this reflex action, D represents muscle in the arm. So the function of D is to respond according to the regulatory messages or impulses coming from central nervous system or CNS, here especially from the spinal cord, via motor or efferent neurons. And I will suggest you to write this function mentioned in the last paragraph, and here it is an organ and major function of D. You can write the first one or second one, but I will just suggest you to write the second one. And the major function, the second function, it's not second function. I will give you an alternative answer to the function of D or effector or muscle in the arm. Here is an organ or tissue that respond to the neural stimulation by producing a particular physical response or any of the specific physiological event as per the instruction by the central nervous system. Here the central nervous system for the action is spinal cord. And the C reflex arc are evolved in animals. Why? What is the need of that? Why the reflex arc are evolved in animals? And reflex arc are evolved in the animals for the following reason. And we have 5 reasons. Very carefully, not all the reason. The first is, 1 minute I will tell you, even after complex neuron networks have come into the existence, reflex arc always continue to be more efficient for quick responses. And thinking process of the brain is not fast enough. That's why reflex arc are evolved in animals. And the efficient way of functioning in the absence of true thought processes and efficient way of functioning in organism that don't have any complex neural system or nerve system or neuron system. And it's also useful in animals have very little or none of the complex neuron network needed for thinking. Okay, clearly I just described all 5 points regarding the reflex arc, why which is involved in animals. It is your duty to make it into a sentences and write it into sentences and just underline the point which I highlighted here. Don't forget to do that, otherwise you may lose your half marks for that. Okay, and these are the all highlighted portions from the textbook. Just take the screenshot. Okay, now we just finished our topic, sir. Now, sir, when would you come in the next time? Then don't worry, I will be coming to the next time, or I will come in the next time for discussing more questions, more sure short questions for our upcoming 2024 CBSE 10th grade examination. So it's time to say bye-bye. Gotta hit the sad bye. Stay tuned with 90 Plus My Tuition app, and don't forget to subscribe our 90 Plus My Tuition Middle East and every channels. So I will be meeting you again. Good night. Have a tight sleep, my dears.